Okay. So, Rebecca, could you please introduce yourself? And spoiler alert for those listeners, her name is Rebecca. Rebecca, tell everyone who you are. Don't be humble. You can throw in like you're the best, myofascial, however you want to phrase it. But yeah, introduce yourself for folks, and thanks for being here.
Oh, no, of course. I'm Rebecca. Hello, everybody. And if you're here, I hope everyone's doing okay. But yes, I'm from New York and I'm a medical and sports myotherapist. I specialize in trigger point and fascial dysfunction. So I treat physical pain. I find the real sources, kind of like Brian, but he's on the emotional side.
Where were you in your life before we started working, mentally, emotionally, relationship wise? Kind of where were you in your journey before we started teaming up?
I'm going to say at the lowest point of my entire existence. I was on the brink of losing everything I've ever worked for. Relationships with friends, family, clients, patients, colleagues. Financially, I was going to be in big trouble. I was in danger of potentially not having my home. I have 3 dogs that are my world, and then what happens to them? And it all was because of, just real traumatic emotional turmoil from a relationship.
How did you not a good and well, that's the good news is you reached out, you got help. Like that's like
Yeah.
this is a lot of what we do here right now. It's like I love celebrating. Just even up to that, it's to me is a celebration of like you're in a jam, to put it
Yeah.
lightly, and you reach out for help. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think it's one of the most beautiful things people can do is just say, hey, like I need help. So how did you do that? How did you find me, come across me? Like what were you looking for? Like what, obviously as we discussed, I'm not the only person who talks about narcissistic abuse and all this stuff. So like how did I kind of land in the ocean of noise? Like how did I kind of first come across?
Well, because you're very targeted, you're very focused in the things that you want to talk about. And it's not fluff. It's not fluff for, so sorry. It's not fluff for, Instagram or followers or anything like that. It is all, um, there's no buzzwords. It's focused, it's targeted. You're a real person. And there's something that was incredibly, I'm sorry about this, guys, something very, very authentic about what you talked about. And everything was very knowledgeable. It was concise. It was to the point. And Brian overall has like this wonderful energy about him that is really calm, really easy, very peaceful. And I knew that I needed to speak with somebody that was going to understand me and what I was going through on a very personal level, not just clinical. And I needed support. And I really needed support mostly because I felt crazy because nobody understood me. Um, my friends and my family are amazing. Um, but things were being said like, oh, he won't do that, or oh, that's over, or oh, that doesn't make sense, or you're just really hurt right now, so you're feeling too much, you're anticipating, or all of these things. And all that did was invalidate my feelings and experience and almost kind of re-victimize me all over again. And I needed somebody that was going to understand me. And it's frustrating when your loved ones don't. But I was kind of relieved at one point when they didn't understand me, because then that means that they've never experienced this level of betrayal and trauma and abuse and mental warfare with somebody that they loved and trusted. So in that way, it was a huge comfort. But then I was left feeling very alone and very unseen, and like maybe I am the problem, when I knew deep down I'm not the problem. But I knew that I needed help and I needed support. And I reached out to Brian, and it's like, well, if this is going to work out, this is going to work out. And you never know what type of an experience you're going to have with a new therapist. It's always touch and go. Sometimes you have to try it for a while, and you're like, I don't really feel like I'm making progress. Brian immediately, him and I, first few minutes, we were laughing, we were connecting. It was a safe space. I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt very understood. And more importantly, I was being validated. And anytime that I was in flux and needed to kind of be checked a little bit on my thought process or my feelings, or even things that I wasn't doing that was helpful to my own healing process and my progression, he checked me, but he checked me in such an intellectual and safe way to be able to explore the darker parts of myself that are very hard to acknowledge, especially when you're the one that's been traumatized. So that's when I can't say enough that that's my journey of getting to Brian, like literally through Instagram. He hit all the right buttons for me, checked all the boxes, and you can really tell who cares and is super professional about what they're trying to accomplish, as opposed to people that are just trying to get more followers for Instagram purposes for their own being. Like, Brian cares.
I just love when you add that commentary on that aspect of life. It gets me every time.
Yes.
Thank you for saying all that. All right, on the flip side, like what hesitations, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, like you said, if you're
Mhm,
working with a therapist, or I'm a coach, life coach, but to
mhm.
your point, like if you're working with
Yeah.
somebody, there's different hesitations, trepidations, concerns, like whether it was with me or the process or anything at all. What hesitations did you have, or any kind of things like that before we
I mean,
started?
I didn't have any hesitations with you at all. I'm a very big believer in having a safe space to deal with yourself. And I'm really big on holding yourself accountable to the things that happen to you in life and the choices that you make. If you're going through the same thing over and over and over again, and you're the only common denominator, you have to start looking at yourself and calling yourself out and holding yourself accountable to be able to make changes if you keep finding yourself in really bad patterns. So I have done therapy on and off most of my life, and it's very beneficial. It's incredibly helpful. You have somebody that can look at you objectively, and there's no judgment. It's a guide, it's a process for your own self-discovery in a really safe way. But I have had a lot of, like, whether it's therapists or whatever that I've spoken to, and the connection didn't feel right. I didn't feel like I was being heard. I felt like I was just another person on their schedule for the day. They had their own program that they wanted to run, that I wasn't really being taken into account, or I wasn't getting feedback. Like, I wasn't having somebody that was challenging me on a deeper level to really find that pain source, if you will, to fix the actual problem instead of just dealing with the symptom. So that's the difference for me, is that that's what you do. You do push me to look at things in a different way while I'm still feeling like I can be heard and tell you exactly what's on my mind. And I always say what's on my mind. And, but it's a safe space to do that.
Yeah. No, I agree. That does seem to be a common denominator that I hear also in my own opinion and experience. Like, you want to find someone who you connect with, who feels like they get you and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I agree with that. Not that I have to agree because it's your opinion, but I do agree.
Yeah.
So, what were we able to accomplish together? Like, how,
Oh my
like,
God.
what have we been able to,
We did some deep dives
we did some deep dives. Yeah, we did.
and the roller coasters. We had roller coasters where 1 minute we're laughing and the next minute I'm yelling. And then I'm trying to like talk in circles to try to make sense of whatever is happening with all of the noise inside of my head to spit out words that make sense. We did a lot. You're gonna have to ask me again, Brian. That's a
What,
lot.
what do you feel like we, like, as
We
kind of a before?
accomplished a lot. We
Yeah.
accomplished a lot. We did a lot. We accomplished a lot. We talked about the immediate, right? We talked about exactly what I was going through in that moment and what kind of support I needed because it was insanely acute and I was not in a safe space, even with myself. So we dealt with a lot of acute things. And a lot of that for me with you is you allowed me to feel safe and seen and heard as if I was talking to a friend, where it was very comfortable. But then we also pushed into deeper things where we talked about my past and even growing up and things that are commonalities. And every time you would be like, give me more, give me more, give me more. And it like forced me to like anything that started to come to the surface just come out of my mouth, whether that was a large component or not, it was still pushed out of me. So now it's pushed to the forefront instead of being down, and it's things that I can look at about like my patterns of behavior, how my relationships even with family members or my parents have affected my relationships with friends, but more importantly romantic partners. And it's there was a lot of allowing the space for forgiveness for myself, understanding of myself, and the beginnings of letting go. It allowed me to have support and calling me out on my BS and making sure that I maintained my boundaries when I'm supposed to be no contact with somebody because that trauma bond sucks. And it's the worst part.
It
It's,
sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It does suck.
it's so bad. It's so
It
bad.
sucks.
It's so bad.
I know people are going to be able to relate to that piece. It does suck.
It
It is a
does.
tough
It
one.
sucks.
Yeah.
It's
But you've made
yeah,
progress. Like I,
huge,
feeling what you feel is
huge.
one thing, but feel like you've made progress. Like everyone is in their own journey of less contact, going to no contact, different circumstantial events in your case that might prompt or warrant more contact. But you've definitely, I mean, you could speak for yourself, obviously, but you've made progress in the direction you want on that front, and
Mhm.
progress over perfection and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like, I wish I could say that I was obedient and that I listened and I did everything that he told me that, I needed to do. And, I wish I could say, oh, Brian was wrong. He's not wrong. He's usually right. He's pretty much always right. And I know that he's right, but then I'm stubborn and then I have a trauma bond. So then I have to do it the hard way. And then Brian's got to pick up my pieces and, you know, we knock it out and refocus and, you know, yeah, but all in a judgment free zone. Thankfully, I have a really dark sense of humor, so we were able to laugh and um, joke about it a lot. Because if you can't laugh at some point during this process, you'll crack.
Yeah. That's another commonality that I see for sure. Under the assault of laughter, nothing can stand. So
Yes.
I think you're right with that.
Yeah.
Certainly makes it a more enjoyable experience if you can laugh at some parts along the way.
When
You
it
need to,
starts to get dark and crazy, you have to be able to laugh at it. Otherwise, it will start to consume you, and you're never gonna be able to see past all of the pain that
actually
you're
that actually picks up on my next question, which is what would you say to someone who is in it, trying to break free, trying to heal, trying to get away from trauma bonds and trying to, someone who's really stuck in their own, everyone has their own details, of course, but like you said, you came at a low point and like someone who's looking for hope, help, feeling stuck, feeling potentially hopeless, looking for ways out, looking to progress their own healing journey. Like, what would you say to that person? And when I said picking up, because it's like, well, laughter can help, but like,
Uh-huh.
starting from ground zero at that question, what would you say to that person?
Um, one, you're not alone. Two, congratulations, you're now part of a club that nobody wants to join. Three, your experience is very real and you're not crazy. Um, you're going to have just as many setbacks as you do step forward. And all of that is okay and it's valid and it's important. And if you can't feel what you're feeling, you're not going to get over that and you're just going to go backwards. When you're dealing with especially narcissistic abuse and trauma bonds, that urge to want to reach out just to even get a little bit of acknowledgement of that you're still in existence because that person that was supposed to love you is now, and that hurt you the most, is the only thing that can make you better. You're going to want to do it. You probably will. If you can, don't. If you do, be honest about it. Don't make excuses for it. And then start over. It's like when a drug addict's going through withdrawals and the drugs are fun, and then all of a sudden the drugs are making their life miserable and sick and deteriorating everything. But then the only thing that's going to make them better again is I just need a little hit. I just need a little hit. But then the sickness lasts longer and longer and longer, and those hits need to be bigger, and then you're right back into the bad relationship again. So have lots of support. Find things that can occupy your time in a healthy way. Do things that of who you used to be before this person existed in your life that made you you and that made you happy. Pick up something new. If you need to go get your hair done or little things to just make you feel better about yourself on a daily basis, do those things. For me, self-care was huge. And besides Brian, my mom, my brother, and my best friend were with me constantly, even if it was on phone, even if we were saying nothing. Make sure that you have a safe space for yourself. And any setback that you have, like, it's okay. Don't be fooled. And stay on track. Because once you are clear in your head, you can see things for what they actually are, as opposed to what maybe you thought that they were, or like your heart hopes that they would be again. Nobody gets into a relationship with it being abusive right off the bat. It doesn't start that way. It starts as something interesting and new and exciting and maybe even butterflies. And you may have even noticed things that felt a little weird or off and you ignored those things. Take this as like a lesson and remember those things for the next time when you do feel good and safe and comfortable to go back into the world and allow other people to kind of meet you where you are and engage again and maybe try to find someone. It doesn't mean everybody's going to be like this. Just because one person in an abusive relationship did something and somebody does something similar, it's going to have the same outcome. But now at least you have tools that you can recognize and pick up patterns of behavior that are familiar to you. And unfortunately, when you've been in a pattern of abuse and psychological warfare with someone, even though you know that it's not good, you want to go back to what's familiar. Because the unknown is more scary and uncomfortable than jumping back into something that you know is toxic, but it's familiar because you can navigate that easier. Because God only knows the last time you felt something healthy, and like healthy is foreign at that point. And you're going to question yourself a lot, and that's okay. So when you're questioning yourself a lot, having somebody like Brian will help you navigate yourself so that you can trust yourself again, because there's a lot of self betrayal when you're in relationships like this. And you kind of want to blame yourself a lot. Like, how did I let this person do this to me? How did I let this person like damage my life so badly? Why did I put up with things for so long? How come I let things slide? How come I didn't stick up for myself? How come I didn't leave sooner? It's because you were being abused and you were being manipulated, and you didn't have the handbook for this. So having somebody like Brian to help you navigate can change your entire trajectory of your healing process and how you're going to move forward in your life to having a better understanding of self and engage in healthier relationships moving forward, because that's the goal. I mean, at least I hope it's the goal for everybody, is to actually find somebody who really does see you and really does love you and gives you those butterflies, but also makes you safe at the same time. Doesn't give you the butterflies and then drops you on your ass.
How did I know you'd have a good answer for that last question?
You know.
Um, Good thing this is recorded. I can just like feed that into my content. 27 ways to heal. Beautiful answer. Thank you. Thank you
Of
for that.
course.
Very good. Very good. What's next for you?
Um, well, we're talking about continuing. I feel like I still need continued support. I'm a lot better than what I was. Um, a lot better than what I was. I'm back to work full time. I'm engaging with my friends again. I'm back to things that I used to do for myself. I'm reclaiming my home. I sleep at nighttime now. So that's nice. And I'm just going to take one day at a time. And sometimes if I'm feeling a certain way, because it sneaks up on you, I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't. It does, because that's real. That's part of the healing process. If I need to go back to 1 minute at a time, I do 1 minute at a time. And I'm giving myself grace. And other than keep doing work and working on myself and making sure that I have the life that I want moving forward, that's kind of just my goals and moving forward and reclaiming who I was before all of this.
Beautiful. Any parting comments? Anything else you'd like to share? Not to imply you haven't shared enough, but anything else you anything else you would like to spitball here while we're wrapping up?
Um,
Save dogs,
yeah.
foster dogs,
I
rescue
mean,
dogs.
yeah, my dogs are crazy. I'm sorry. But I love them and they're my life, so I'm really not that sorry. Um, no. Okay, the one thing I want to say before I get off is everybody thinks that they're an expert in narcissistic personality disorder at this stage of like where we are in social media and life and the internets, even the diagnosed narcissists themselves that are online. And, thank you for sharing your side. But at the end of the day, if you're really concerned, if this is a relationship that you've been in and this is the type of person that you're actually dealing with, please just don't feed off of absolutely every single feed that you see and take it in and then now just spitball words out of your mouth and just from people into like this crazy group just because of social media. Actually seek out people that really do have an understanding of the disorders. Narcissists are people too, and they have their own struggles and their own problems. They do more damage than the average person. And it's not okay, but you need to make sure that you're getting all of your information and all of your support from somebody that is qualified to help you get through it, and to really understand if this is what's actually happening, if you've encountered somebody that's actually like this. Lots of people, naturally, we're humans, we everybody has some sort of narcissistic trait, but that doesn't mean that everybody's a narcissist or has BPD or anything like that. So it really does need to be taken seriously. I feel like it's kind of like a runaway train that everybody thinks that, oh, everybody's a narcissist. Everybody's not a narcissist. And I also feel like that diminishes the reality of people that are actually suffering the true abuse in one of these relationships. So I feel like that's like the best kind of positive thing, and like really honest, true, like raw thing that I could say at this point. If you feel like you're in a dangerous situation with somebody like this, find somebody like Brian, or go straight to Brian and reach out, get support, get the help that you need so that you can recover properly and you actually heal, as opposed to a surface feeling, and you don't end up right back to where you were.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yes.
Beautiful, really helpful. I know people are going to get a lot out of this, so thank you for
Yes.
taking the time to share, and I really appreciate you. You've made it interesting and fun, and I just love how you show up and who you are, and kind of to your earlier point, like a return or reclaiming of who you are. I think that's a big thing. So just you don't need to do anything, so to speak. Just keep being who you are, and I appreciate that. And other people will or do or have appreciated it as well. So
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, we'll pick up, and yeah, I'll cut it off here. Thanks again, Rebecca.
Thank you for everything you did for me.
Oh, you're welcome.